At this moment, guys, at this junction, I do not think Ibrahim Traore can be easily eliminated by the Americans or the France, like the way I thought before. Because if you check the amount of support this guy is getting from Africans, no leader, no leaders ever gotten that support before. No revolutionary leader the past few years who have lost their life trying to redeem Africa, or who have this motion or idea of redeeming Africa from their slave masters, apparently from their slave master. I do not think anyone has getting this kind of support before. Ibrahim Traore is getting all the support he needs currently. Not only from his country people. His country people are fully behind him, just few. From Africa as a whole. Majorly on social media though, but I believe a lot of individuals from Africa who come across Ibrahim Traore's story will have no any other choice than to fall in love with this leader. With the substantial amount of development this guy has brought to Burkina Faso within the space of 2 years, I begin to ask myself, is democracy truly good for us? I begin to ask myself. Because so far, Ibrahim Traore is making us feel like democracy in Africa is just to come here and loot resources. Getting all the support no leader in the past have gotten. So I think it will be very, very hard for the USA or France to convince Africa that this guy is an enemy of progress. Let's be honest. Because if the USA want to infiltrate with our past experience, what we have known, if those, I don't want to specifically say USA, if those, let me use the word, the white, if those white want to infiltrate, those leaders they thought are enemies to their ideas, if they want to infiltrate them, they start with media. They discriminate them with media. They put out all sorts of propaganda and to make sure his people hate him. But now I think the media is somehow a little bit wiser now. The same media they brought up in order for them to propagate some certain things, to change people's mind. Well, unfortunately, the same media is working against them now, because the only thing I've seen concerning this man on social media are praises. No one have said anything bad about this leader. No one have said anything bad about him. Everything just have to do with praises, praising him. So it's going to be extremely hard, guys, for the West to take this man out of the way. This black man here, who was said to be, according to Africa Facts, they say U.S. General Michael is facing criticism for accusing Burkina Faso President Ibrahim Traore of using the country gold reserve to protect himself. He's a commander of the U.S. Africa Command. President Traore constructed the country's first gold refine in 2024. A man who constructed his country's first gold refine in 2024. Now you come out to say that person is using gold to protect himself. The white has been the people producing, refining their gold for years, and no single refinery in Burkina Faso. Now their own have decided to build a refinery for gold. Boom, all of a sudden that person is an enemy. We have heard these stories before. I think they need to devise another type of tactics to, infiltrate our minds against leaders who are good. against ruthless leaders who are unafraid to make bold steps. This man, Ibrahim Traore, let us be honest, he came into power as a tyrant. Yeah, take power by force. Because, according to him, he wasn't pleased with the way politicians were handling the country. They weren't handling it well. They were puppets. He decided to change the mindset. And thank God he has a lot of army soldiers who share the same dreams with him, because Ibrahim Traore cannot do it alone. So now Ibrahim Traore is getting all the praises, but then let us not forget, Ibrahim Traore cannot stand alone. And if his counterpart, his army, his close friends want him gone, he's gone. So I pray Ibrahim Traore doesn't end up like former leaders, that their own friends betrayed, because Ibrahim Traore can't do it alone. Those his friends are very, very important. So all I'm saying in the sense is that it cannot work anymore. It can't. You know, currently we have about 3 military leaders who have taken over their states in Africa. But Ibrahim Traore is the most common one, the most one that is more appreciated because of his achievement in just 2 years. Recently, you see, he brought out he possessed tractors for their own road construction and maintenance, which no democratic government have done before in Burkina Faso. They always like to borrow, because borrow pays more into their pocket. Now Ibrahim Traore decided to possess, say enough for this borrowing and this. So I don't know what other military leader, like the one of Niger, I don't know what they are doing there. I don't know what they are doing there. But I know for sure Ibrahim Traore is the one that is way more common because of his achievement.
France just tried to overthrow the government of Burkina Faso just a few months after France was kicked out of Burkina Faso. Today, the government of Burkina Faso announced that they had stopped a big plot to overthrow their military government, who took power in 2022. Although it's worth knowing that Burkina Faso said these plotters were actually in the Ivory Coast, and they planned to cross the border and attack the Burkina Faso government. However, if you don't know, the ironic part, France is actually a big ally of the Ivory Coast, and for a long time they've been sending military support to the Ivory Coast, where these plotters were. And because of that, a lot of people have accused France of financially and militarily supporting these plotters in the Ivory Coast, who plan to overthrow the Burkina Faso government. And to add to that point, Burkina Faso actually spoke on this plan that these plotters had, and it seems like they didn't even want to control the country themselves. Burkina Faso said, quote, their plan was to create total chaos in the country and have the country placed under the supervision of an international organization. And so because of that...
So one thing I want to know is that, can democracy be forced on people? Because even the people of Burkina Faso are happy with the current state of governance. I thought the rights of the people is more than, like, is the highest order when it comes to the country. I thought the right of the people is democracy. If majority of Burkina Faso want this present military regime, that is democracy itself. You cannot try to act as if you know what is best for a country from afar, miles away. Meanwhile, you that were in charge of that country, you never build one single refinery. So the bottom line is that it's going to be extremely difficult for the West to overthrow Burkina Faso. Not this time. The media is so broad and wide. Everybody has access to it. Even the West themselves are currently even kicking against it.
billion. Here's why Ibrahim Traore is posing such a big problem for the West and why they want rid of him. This guy's doing what a leader should do. He's protecting African people and he's protecting African resources. Take a look at what Ibrahim Traore has done since he was elected in 2023. He increased the GDP of Burkina Faso from 18.8 billion to 22.1 billion. He reduced the salaries of ministers by 30% and increased the salary of civil servants by 50%. He made Burkina Faso a debt-free country. Now think about what our government is doing to farmers in the UK, and then look at what Ibrahim Traore has done for farmers in his country. He bought them 400 tractors, 239 tillers, 710 motorbikes, 714 pumps, which meant the production of millet, rice, tomatoes and cotton rose by millions of tons. But the main reason why they want rid of Ibrahim Traore is because he's banned the colonial exploitation from France and the West, who for years have kept Africa poor and weak by exploiting the minerals. All the gold, oil, platinum, diamonds, all these precious minerals have been extracted from Africa.
Brother and sister, I think it's going to be hard, man, for the West to get rid of Ibrahim Traore. And they are also really afraid because they think Ibrahim Traore might be the start of an Africa revolution. Because if they allow Ibrahim Traore to succeed in this development, of other African countries will follow. So that is one of their fear again. That's one of their fear. So I don't really know how they're going to do it. I don't want them to succeed. I am praying against it. I'm praying against it seriously. Because everyone is standing beside Ibrahim Traore. Everyone is standing beside this man. So I don't know what's their problem. Are they against progress? Are they enemy of progress? Do they want to see African people? Because they own World Bank, they hold all those international body. Also, we release report annually that Africa are living under poverty, and yet an African country wants to bring themselves out of that chart. They say no way. They say no way. Allow Burkina Faso to choose who they want as leaders, not you picking who you want as leaders for them. This man currently is one of the most hated men in Africa currently, being a black man and in the US Army. Is one of the most hated men currently in Africa. Well, thank you guys for watching. Boy, Adam's Link. Catch you guys next time. Peace.